Hello, people, family, as I like to refer to you all because how I see you, we are family. And with that being said, I would like to explain who I am. First of all, my name is April Burns Norris. I am the founder and executive director of Community Bridges Incorporated. I am a person who has been affected with various disparities that I will be discussing today that kind of fall underneath the umbrella of um, issues that could be addressed with the American Rescue Plan and its 800 million, let me get them right, $800 million that are supposed to be used to help students experiencing homelessness. The first thing I want to say is I am not very technical savvy. So some of the things that you may see on other YouTube channels, as far as people splitting the screens to show you the documents that they're talking about, I haven't become that fancy. So what I'm going to do is read to you. But the things that I'm going to read to you, you'll be able to go back and check it for yourself. The discussion tonight: how the American Rescue Plan can help students experiencing homelessness. First of all, we need to understand that this will not be able to be accomplished by one individual, nor will it be able to be accomplished by one organization. This is going to be something that's going to take a collective effort from everybody, and not just including the people that are experiencing homelessness. Because typically, that is what I have witnessed, is that even the service providers that are supposed to be providing this assistance, they tend to look at people that they are paid to help as beneath them, or um, not able to question what they're being told or offered. And that's what my organization aims to address, is that there are major gaps and barriers within our supportive service system, as well as the affordable housing system, the judicial system. I mean, we could go on and on. Um, there's a lot of things that have not been operating appropriately according to the guidelines that they created, that was required for them to even receive funding to say they are able to provide the assistance to people in need. It's time to hold those people accountable. How else are we going to hold those people accountable unless we get educated on what it is they're supposed to be doing, what they are doing, and what they are not doing based on the documents submitted or the guidelines established that says this is how we're going to operate our agency, service, program, or whatever. Especially when it's relating to $800 million, that at the end of the day, taxpayers are going to be the ones responsible for paying the cost of. So, with that being said, let's get into this document. I will say that because I do understand that this is not a one person um, orchestra. I've already started establishing connections and networks with other nonprofit organizations that bring a lot of the needed skills to the table so that we can address what homeless students and their families need. Because that's another issue that I feel that a lot of the public schools, especially specifically speaking about um, Knox County schools, they are going through a whole bunch of issues with trying to figure out how to address the ongoing gun violence that has been affecting a lot of our students, specifically in the East Knoxville area at Austin East High School. Um, and what I've noticed is based off of the what's been said at the school board meetings and conversations that I've had with the community and journalists. Um, they were only offering the students like an hour and a half of counseling after experiencing multiple deaths of their classmates within a few months. These are traumatic experiences that, if not addressed appropriately, can snowball into issues that lead to a lot of mental illness, emotional instability, poverty, just a cycle. And sadly, we all have been kind of affected by this history, especially African Americans. I can speak for the African American community because that's I belong to that community. Um, we've been witnesses of institutional oppression in the form of our parents, specifically black fathers, being removed from the homes, um, uh, by the way of the prison systems and the welfare systems, child support systems, um, just to name a few. And then we grow up not really understanding what it looks like to have a healthy relationship with the opposite sex. So you have this society that is just kind of lost, and then you add a pandemic on top of it. um, Nobody's able to really socialize and you know um, mingle and get out and participate in group activities the way they used to, specifically our students, homeless students, all students, but specifically those that are not as fortunate as others. When your resources are already limited, there's only certain things that you are able to do. So when all of those meager resources are depleted, what does that leave our children with as far as how to cope with the things that even us as adults are struggling to cope with? Doesn't leave them with much. So America decided to address that issue with their this is the COVID-19, the latest guidance and resources for homelessness services. This is how the American Rescue Plan can help students experiencing homelessness. And I'm just going to read it to you and then we'll discuss what I've read. The CARES Act, signed in March of 2020, established two funds to help schools safely reopen and rebound from the impact of the pandemic. The Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, and that is the ESSER Fund, for state educational agencies and school districts, and the Governor's Emergency Educational, no, the Emergency Education Relief, GEER Fund, for governor's offices. The American Rescue Plan, signed 1 year later, provides additional funding for both. So the CARES Act was one set of funding, and there was a lot of money that still is not even accounted for or used, that was supposed to address different disparities affecting people mainly living in poverty or people affected drastically by the pandemic. But then they came a year later with the American Rescue Plan with additional funding for both of those agencies. I mean, both of those funds for students. It says the Department of Education published new frequently asked questions about how these new funds can be used to support students experiencing homelessness. The following is an excerpt from that document. How may ESSER and GEER funds be used to support students experiencing homelessness. ESSER and GEER funds may be used for services and interventions specifically tailored to meet the needs of students experiencing homelessness, including, for example, outreach and service delivery, mental health services and positive behavioral interventions and supports, planning and implementing summer learning and after school programs addressing the needs of students experiencing homelessness. And it says an LEA, which is a local educational agency, may use ESSER, and they refer to that as ESSER funding, and GEER funds to ensure that all students experiencing homelessness are identified and fully participate in school on the same basis as their peers through, for example, outreach, training, and community collaborations. Community collaborations. Community collaborations. For example, an LEA may use ESSER and GEER funds for the following purposes: to increase the full-time hours, full-time employment hours of the homeless liaison designated under McKinney-Vento. This is a side note of just information that I'm aware of. Every school district, and supposed to be every school should have a homelessness liaison at that school. They don't always really know about all of the resources available, and I have evidence of this, but they're supposed to be there and they receive pay for being there. If your school does not have one, there needs to be one. They've got additional funding, clearly, for someone to be there. Okay, it can also be used to assign building level contacts, particularly in highly impacted schools, to increase specialized support staffing, such as counselors, social workers, and others who are specifically trained in outreach and services for students experiencing homelessness. Okay, so as the founder and executive director of Community Bridges Incorporated, myself, and I mean, as the founder and the person that is trying to um, become the change that I needed to see that was not there for me and my family when we were experiencing homelessness, even still, as well as the other people that I'm networking with. Um, we are qualified to be used as a um, solution, you know, fill the gap with people with lived experiences. I thought that's what they said they were trying to do. Because one thing I know for sure is that when people are experiencing these type of traumas and disparities, it's really difficult for them to really receive the help needed from someone that they can't connect to or they feel that don't really resonate or understand the life that they live. And that's why the organizations that I've been networking with, we are all um, led by Black women that have experienced some type of poverty, trauma, or injustice of some sort that gives us a deeper understanding of what it's like to be out here and to not be able to receive the supportive services that you need to help alleviate whatever you're experiencing. Um, if this is America, we all should be able to access the American dream. And without the basics such as a quality education and stable and safe housing, the ability to create generational wealth, It's a little bit hard to achieve. And when you add in all of the other um, generational types of poverty that have just, even the mindset, you know, religion, we're not going to go into that, but there's a lot of things that we have just been taught by people that we really love and actually didn't know any better, but we've allowed ourselves to remain in a poverty mindset. We've allowed ourselves to remain silent and voiceless when it comes to speaking up for ourselves and demanding that we are heard as far as how we need to be helped, how our communities need to be helped. I really feel that $800 million specifically assigned for students experiencing homelessness, I do not feel that the existing agencies that were already in operation, already receiving funding to help alleviate and address these issues, I do not feel that they are sufficient or should even be allowed to be the go-to source, because if they had the solutions, we wouldn't be in this deficit. We wouldn't be in the situation that we're in. Um, let's see here. It says an LEA. Oh, let me see. Go back up here to the purposes that it could be used for. Um, Outside of the counselors, social workers, and others who are specifically trained in outreach and services for students experiencing homelessness, they've also included the purpose of to provide transportation to services to ensure access to after school or summer learning and enrichment programs. It goes on to say an LEA should coordinate the use of ESSER and GEER funds with other educational funds used to support homeless students, such as McKinney-Vento and Part A of Title I of the ESEA, to ensure a comprehensive approach to meeting those students' needs. So it's like, all right, we already know you have these funds over here that you've been doing these programs with. So we want to see you collaborate them together and add additional programs, not the same programs, additional programs to help address these issues. It says, please note that ESSER and GEER funds should be used to address the specific needs of students experiencing homelessness, just as they are intended to meet the needs of other underserved groups of students and other groups of students most impacted by COVID-19 pandemic. The ARP Act also includes an additional 800 million to support the needs of students experiencing homelessness, and these resources should be additive to the supports and services provided under ESSER and GEER. Clearly additive. So we don't want the same old that they've been giving us. We don't want the same old slave food. Now they're giving us 800 million. Now we can afford to eat healthy, y'all. We can afford to eat organic because everyone else that is living the American dream, they're eating organic. That's just, me making it kind of make sense for us to see how this funds is supposed to change what we're already doing, not do more of the same. Right now, we're struggling as a people, and our children, if we're struggling, imagine what they're experiencing. If we don't even have the answers to give them as to how to deal with this, because it's something none of us have really dealt with, how are we expecting them to just be unbothered when we look at what all they are really introduced to through social media? Because now they got all this time on their hands, free time on their hands, free internet access for some of them. So when school's out, What's really going on with those computers? And when you know that you got people out here on the internet, sadly, that are targeting our children, we just got to be more involved. It's not called being nosy. It's not called being, overprotective. It's called being a real parent or a real involved village. It takes a village to raise a child. And we've kind of steered away from that. Nobody wants to, everybody wants to stay in their lane when it comes to speaking up for others, but we don't know how to do that when it comes to just like really not being messy and minding your business. But in my opinion, when it comes to the well-being of the community, it's everybody's business. What goes on, sadly, if what goes on in your house is affecting the community, it's the community's business, because we got to pay taxes. We got to live there too. We're innocent bystanders. This is how I'm seeing it. And I just want for us as a people to realize that there's $800 million out there. And here is a whole plan as to how it should be used. I'm just trying to figure out, for one, I've gone to the school board meetings here in Knox County, Tennessee. And from my understanding, the ESSER funds are used to address just what the schools need, different programs. I really haven't heard too much said about how they plan to use this 800 million for homeless students. And I feel that's where we, as the people, and I consider myself to be the people's advocate, the people need to figure out how we can bring our voices to the table and our services that we have. I know if I'm connected with, at least as part of the group of ladies that I was mentioning earlier, um, our coalition is called the Ultimate Resource Hub, and it was created to eliminate poverty one family at a time. We've got people that are doing shipping container houses. That's V&D Enterprise LLC, Building a Better Future. We got Visionaires Incorporated. We're that's to address the large family homelessness and job innovations. We got Faith Community Incorporated. I Have a Testimony, which is a radio broadcast show to allow people to um, share what it is that they're doing, and how you know life can kind of throw you curveballs, but it doesn't mean you give up. And without a test, you can't have a testimony. So I Have a Testimony is really a great program, of some very strong faith-led leaders. And we've got a community development corporation with that's led by Miss Lucy. We've got From Poverty to Prosperity, a Leap of Faith Foundation, and of course my organization, Community Bridges Incorporated. And we're talking to others that are, you know, realizing that it's going to take us all to achieve what it is that we want to achieve individually. We can't have this individual mindset when what we're experiencing is a global crisis. We've got to think of ourselves as one. And that's what I am trying to establish in the midst of me dealing with life, in the midst of me trying to help my own children navigate through the emotional um, burdens that come along with this pandemic. This isn't easy. It's not easy being a teenager at all. But in this day and time, it's extra difficult. And so when I'm speaking about the things that our children need, I'm not speaking off of just my experience as when I was a student, or, from what I've heard at school board meetings. I have a child that is a student currently, and we're dealing with some things. I'm not going to go into details, but I will say that in the process of me trying to get her the assistance that she needs, I'm experiencing barriers and gaps that are preventing her from getting the support she needs. And it really doesn't make sense for me when I know that there's $800 million out here specifically designed to address the issues that my daughter is facing. And that is what I intend to use my platform as well as my organization to help address. So you will be seeing more of me. I'm still trying to get other things organized as far as my website and all of the logistics for that. Trying to still settle my father's estate, my grandmother's estate, life. But I'm still standing, and I'm determined to leave this world better than the way it was when I came in it. That's my goal. So by any legal means necessary. Um, I love everyone, and if I can use my life and my story to help anybody, that's what it is that I'm here to do. And so when I come to speak, I speak from my heart. I'm not here to try to get viewers or likes. I'm just here to spread the truth as I know it to be based on what I'm seeing and experiencing, as well as open up the platform for others to express themselves. So, and to for us to come together, we got to stop being so individualized. We got to start seeing ourselves as a actual family, a village, because that's what the children need right now. And if we're not giving the children what they need, what does that say for our future? That being said, I'm gonna get on out of here. I didn't want to make this too long and drawn out. Um, but I do leave you all with love, light, and life lessons learned. Till next time, peace.